everyone.
Welcome back to both of our channels, or welcome
Yes.
if it's y'all's first time. We are here today doing another podcast video of a book review. And this book that we are going to be discussing is Vampire's Way to Psychic Self-Defense by John Kreiter. Kreiter, right?
Overcome all negative energy.
Yes, overcome all negative energy. Missed that part.
That is key, actually.
Yes.
So let me just say that before you get totally turned off the title and think like, oh my God, like what are these girls about to present us? It sounds pretty dark. Yeah, I have to admit, even the cover, it looks kind of like dark, a little eerie, but here's the thing. This is really a book that is about how to deal with your own personal negative energy, plus how do you deal with when you're surrounded by negativity. And here's the thing, and he kind of says that in the beginning, that you have all those techniques to get rid of negativity, but he says that overall there's this negative current in the world. And unfortunately, that is true. Yes, we have a lot of positive people, but if you look at the whole world and the drama and look at the news, and all over the world there are wars and whatever, and people fighting, then I do get his point here. And his point is really like, how do you use this in a beneficial way without trying to like shield yourself in a way? So it's a completely different method that also explains how to turn this negative energy into positive energy, to transmute it. And it's very helpful. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today.
Yeah. Just to backbone the negative energy, everywhere. I feel like when you said that, I had the thought of just, it's almost like a cloud that rises, that's lower. I don't know. It's either like there's positive or negative on the bottom and then positive on the top. Maybe sometimes they can reverse, but, and I feel like that negative energy that kind of hangs over the whole planet can also dissipate into smaller sections. Same with the positive energy,
Yeah.
And I think that maybe protection in both or for both is vital, but it's maybe the smaller clusters of negative energy, that we're closer to, that maybe have the most impact on our own energy. You know what I mean? Like being stuck in traffic for, no one likes being stuck in traffic. And he has an example about that in the book that we can get to in a bit too. But, and rather than just like, oh, the state of the world, yeah, that's negative, but is that affecting my day-to-day life? Depends on where I am in the world, ultimately. For me right now, to be honest, not really. Gas prices are higher, but I'm not having to hide, try to save my life and survive. But I do get stuck in traffic regularly and then feel that cloud of negative energy. So I just wanted to kind of share on that.
Yes, right. And also another example, like let's say you work at if you work any type of job, then you're going to be surrounded by other people. Let's say you work at a large office. What if your coworkers are all super negative? You're going to feel negativity, even if you're a super positive person. That's really the point of the book. And about the vampire thing, I want to just explain what he means. That so he keeps referring to ancient vampire culture, that those methods are theirs. But again, before you get all turned off and think it has anything to do with people that drain energy, no, not at all. This is just a technique to transmute. And sometimes for me, a negative person is also, that's what I personally call an energy vampire. People that really tear me down and they have this negativity around them, and it's just, oh my God, like you're around them and you just feel exhausted after talking with them, or maybe you can avoid them. And to me that is an energy vampire. But what he does in the book, this is different. He takes those methods, I guess, from them, but it doesn't even matter because it has nothing to do with draining other people at all. It's just about how to transmute. But that's what the book is called, The Vampire's Way.
Yeah, interesting. I like what you said about the energy vampires, because I do believe that is a term too. And my friend one time said that this person that we know is definitely an energy vampire, and she said that it's almost like she walks in the room and sucks all the energy out of it, you know, like sucks all the attention and towards them, and it's just exhausting to like be around. And in a sense, in the book that in the methods that he's talking about, like that's kind of what we're doing, except it's not draining other people, like you said, you know, it's essentially transmuting that from the negative energy into a positive one for our own sake, rather than being the energy vampire and walking into a room and just automatically consuming all that energy. You know, so it's like almost like the opposite method or opposite direction of working.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
have to explain something about that. That's super important, because I could see someone watching us and saying, but wait, now if you're draining that, isn't that draining the other person? But here's the difference. So what he explains in the book is that, you know, for example, you get stuck in traffic and you get mad and you start to rant. What happens is you are expelling energy. You're wasting energy, right? And this is how often, you know, when we're not trying to get involved into drama, how we say like, hey, I don't have the energy for this, or I'm not going to waste my energy on that. And that's exactly, and it's funny because I wonder who came up with saying that, because whoever came up with that is actually familiar with how energy works, because that's exactly what it is. It's you're expelling energy, and when the energy is expelled, it's like it's used. You aren't using it anymore, and that is really where John Kreiter's methods come in, because it's taking energy that has already been expelled, and that's how you're not draining another person, because the other person that's around you that's already ranting, they're expelling the energy, they're pushing it to like the outside, and that's why you start feeling like crap, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of the times people don't even realize that they are expelling this energy. You know, I mean, how often or how common is it that I know we keep using the traffic reference, but even at work, you know, how often do you go to work? Well, if you're a normal human being in America, probably 5 out of 7 days of the week, you know, or more or less. And same with traffic. And so you exude this energy regularly, and to the point where it just becomes an unconscious thought, you know, but it's powerful because it's in your unconscious, and we don't realize how much energy we're giving this situation, or you know, allowing ourselves to waste because of this situation and because of this circumstance. And then we're even more tired and more grumpy, you know, and we thinking about how much we hate our lives, and we at the same time we're manifesting that that energy. You know, we're not doing anything to change directions or to even become aware of this energy, the negativity, you know, and to do something about it, because at all times we can do something about it.
Yes,
you know?
Here you're actually kind of jumping forward, because that is
Okay, so yeah.
no, it's not bad. But what you just said is exactly like, not only you're expelling or you're wasting energy on stupid stuff, but it's also that this is how you create thought forms. When you when you have repetitive, intense thoughts that have a lot of emotion attached to them, that's how you create a thought form. I mean, that is a whole other topic for another day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's also how these thoughts, it's like it's almost like it develops into like this energy cloud that is then like attaching to you. But that's what he explains too. So in the book he says, you know, number one, there is these these thought forms, and you know, other people's thought forms affect you too. Mm-hmm. The example with work, you know what I mean? Like if everyone is complaining about like the same thing kind of repetitively in the same place, that would create a thought form. And then he's talking about like inorganic beings, but I don't know if we have to get into that at all. But maybe we can just stick to personal negative energy and just energy overall that's in your environment.
Yeah,
to transmute it.
That sounds good. So, you know, to go back to your question from earlier, what to do when surrounded by negative energy, whether in a day-to-day or in a specific circumstance, just in general. What are we going to do about this? Okay. You know, we kind of touched on it briefly a little, but go ahead if you want to expand.
Well, he describes a technique. I mean, if you're interested in the technique, you should really buy the book. I mean, it's even on Kindle for a couple of dollars, and it's not a big book, even though it actually looks bigger than I thought. uh, uh,
It's like 100 pages, 104.
yeah. Anyway, so let's look forward to his actual technique. It's basically, it's a combination of a breathing technique that he uses to like store, to suck up energy.
Mhm.
And he uses an affirmation and a visualization. And the visualization is, you know, to be aware that this negativity, you can even imagine that you have this dark cloud around you. I know it sounds negative right now, but it's not going to stay like this. And then, you know, you do this breathing technique. You say an affirmation like, I take this energy, I make this energy mine, I take it back, something like that.
Mhm.
And you can continue visualizing, and you're supposed to, he calls it like the cauldron.
Yeah.
It's something like a, you know, like a glass or cup that you have to imagine. And actually the way how he draws it in the book, it looks like it's like behind the solar plexus.
Mhm.
And yeah, you do
Yeah,
this
yeah.
breathing technique. You suck in the energy from the outside, you hold it there, and then you could transmute it by, you know, visualizing. Maybe if I was to do it, actually I want to experiment it for a little bit.
Mhm.
Because I read this years ago and I was trying this a little bit and then I kind of forgot about it.
Mhm.
And now that I read it again for a podcast, I was like, I need to start practicing this again because this is cool. But the way how I would visualize it to transmute it is really after you sucked it all up and hold the energy here inside behind your solar plexus, I would probably imagine it turning into like a glowing ball. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Then you kind of program it with your intention, and this is how you would transmute the energy.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's, you know, if people buy the book, then they'll know this or read the book or have read it. But the breathing technique, you know, involves a reverse breathing too, to where you're not expanding your stomach on the inhale like you normally would, but you're kind of going inward, you know, like you're breathing in. So where your
Yeah.
stomach's coming forward, and so you're really sucking all that energy up. And yeah, I tried it a little bit just recently, you know, since we were preparing for this and stuff. And I did a similar thing where I imagine, you know, just the dark cloud of negativity. And even just now, as you were talking about it, I kind of pictured it like, it's almost like, well, I thought of, you know, like a thundercloud or storm cloud, and then
Mm-hmm.
almost like raining down, but not necessarily raining, but then transforming into that ball of light, or just that ball of energy, whatever it may look like. It doesn't have to be light. And it just kind of, you know, evaporates from the cloud and then into this, and then from there is transmuted from us. But yeah, so just the reverse breathing, I think, is kind of key, is an important
Yeah.
part in sucking that energy up.
Yeah, and he does it in his other books too. And his other books are, some of them are much more complex and like big really big books. But actually, two things: the reverse breathing, for anyone that is into Joe Dispenza, that's, I mean, it's a very different author than this one. It's a personal development author, right? And but he does this because I'm a big fan of his work. I'm a big fan of his meditations. You know, he sells them. And there's one meditation by Joe Dispenza. It's called Tuning into New Potentials, where he does this he does some type of reverse breathing too, very similar to this one. And it's literally to like take in energy. So when you do this meditation, then it goes like very deep. I mean, I love his meditations. I mean, they're just next level. But it's very smart because he makes you have all this energy before the meditation. Then when you do the meditation, it makes a difference if you did the breathing exercise before, because I did it without, and it's not the same. It's almost like you suddenly have all this manifestation power. Like you can feel that you have this power now, this energy, and it comes from the breathing exercise that he does before. That's like the first track, because I think it's like one explanation track, then the next one is the breathing exercise that goes, I think, like 10 minutes, and then you have like a 40-minute meditation.
Interesting.
So it's dope. So I guess this reverse breathing technique, I wonder where he took it from, but seems to be something that is like I mean, probably comes from the Eastern cultures because they're like way ahead with everything. But I feel like they're all pulling it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
this is no accident that like several.
I know. Yeah. Huh. That's cool though. Joe Dispenza. I'll have to check out those meditations too. But
Yeah.
But yeah. So going back to the question, what to do, you know, like with this method, I think practice is a big part in it too. You know, I mean, especially for people that are maybe not necessarily sensitive to energy or bad at visualizing images. You know, for me, I'm not like that. I'm super duper sensitive to energy, and I have a very visual imagination. But you know, not everyone is or has those things, and it doesn't matter ultimately, as long as your belief is there and the intent, right? Because if you believe something, then it's true for you.
Yes.
You know, so I just think that needs to kind of be stated too, because it can happen this isn't specific to people that do magic. I know, you know, or a certain faith or something, you know, like it doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your, spiritual practices, if you have any, or whatever, or even if you're like atheist, I guess, I don't know. So it's just every human being equally. So
yeah, actually there's some parts that I want to read marked in the book, because one important thing is what is energy, and I can see people being kind of turned off and think, why would you take in negative energy? But he says in the end of the day, it's just energy's energy. It's like that energy was programmed in a negative way, so all you're doing is like neutralizing and then transmuting it into something positive intent. And you know, he writes here, energy is the true basis of our existence, and it is recognized by every single culture in the world. It's most commonly referred to as life force, prana, chi, ki, odic force, thul, orgone, mana, chai.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's just life energy. I mean, so we carry it with us at all times, and it fluctuates just like human emotions between positive and negative.
Exactly. So what you are going to do is that whenever you have any kind of negative event, you're going to learn to suck up this negative emotional flare, this expulsion of energy. You will learn to draw this negative energy into yourself, and you will continue to draw this energy into yourself until you know that all of this emotional flare or charge is gone. If you have another negative emotional outburst, you will once again suck this energy back into yourself and continue the process until the charge is once again all gone. So
interesting. Yeah, so you know, practicing that thing and just continuing to do it until you feel that there's no energy. And you know, he says that how do you know how do you know when to stop? Well, you just will kind of sense, I think, that there's no more energy left to suck up, basically, you know. So
yeah, and he writes, the visualization that works best for me is to try and imagine that I am drawing in a black cloud of energy into myself. I see this black cloud around me and visualize this energy being drawn into me as I do my reverse breathing. As the cloud of life energy comes into contact with my skin, I visualize a feeling of tension that runs all the way from my skin to the center of my body like a wave. I then do the advanced reverse breathing and visualize that all this energy that I have sucked up is being concentrated into a powerful ball of energy right in the middle of my cauldron. Like cauldron, again, is like his thing where he, like a cup.
Yeah.
Where he thinks that he stores the energy that he makes up mentally for that. And, you know, and he has all these pictures. Yeah, and then he writes, you know, at first he writes about personal negative energy. And yeah, this is what we just talked about. Like when you yourself, you notice you're being negative or you have like an outburst. Venting about something, you know, complaining. That's what you would do. But then here he writes this chapter, again, the example with being at the office where everyone is super negative. Like, what do you want to do if you have to work with those people? You know, it's just not, that's why I'm so annoyed from like all this fake positivity stuff. Because like, first of all, you can't always be positive. You don't have to be super positive to manifest. That's also nonsense. It's like when you're neutral, that's totally fine. And you can't overplay when stuff is negative, then you have to do something about it. That's why it really annoys me when people promote this toxic positivity, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be both sides, you know, there's always going to be positive and negative, and they have to coexist on every level. So, but there was one thing. Oh yeah, just to kind of back or add to what you said, I guess. It says, you know, once you become good at sucking energy back into yourself, you'll be able to do this anytime, anywhere. As your skills grow, you'll also become far more confident in your ability to deal with negative emotion of all kinds. You will actually be happy in a way. So, you know, and then it even says, you will be consuming this negative energy with the passionate gusto of the fledgling vampire. So, you know, that's true as far as you want to take it, I guess. But but you know, practice makes perfect with this sort of method, and with anything really. But that brings us kind of to transmutation. I mean, we kind of already discussed it, but as far as the method, and then in that method, you know, what is transmutation? It's changing from one form of or substance to another.
Yes.
And in this example, it's going to be having to do with our emotions and our thoughts.
Right.
And I liked what he said in one page where he's talking about while you're doing this practice, it's important to not let those negative thoughts creep back in. And that can kind of be said for like meditating, you know, like if you're meditating, you know, it's common for your thoughts, you know, you can try to be focused, but even sometimes there's like that little thought that's like negative, you know, and distracts you. So just coming back around to that focus and attention to making sure that none of this negativity is there, and transmuting all of it, and even any negativity you feel at having more negative emotions, bringing that into a positive shift, you know, and therefore changing your energy, you know, because it's shifting from positive to negative, like the sides of a battery. You've got negative and positive, you know, it's going from like depleting one end to another in a sense. And so your current that like we exude of energy is going to be more positive when we're done.
Right. You know why? I think of an example, and that's the thing, you know, with all those energy techniques, some people use them without knowing them. And I had this friend, and this is so crazy. I mean, she was super obsessed over her ex-boyfriend, okay? And sometimes, like before going to work, she would see something on social media and get really triggered and really angry. But this is always when this girl was making the most money. And I noticed that, and I said, this is weird, like, because she was not in a positive mood at all. And that shows you to manifest certain things, they don't have to be positive. What she did is she was always, but you have to understand, she wasn't sad, she was triggered and angry. But it's a very, very powerful emotion, and that is like, that bubbles up a lot of energy when you're angry. And she transmuted it into making money. And she always made all this money when she was angry at her ex. It was crazy, but she definitely subconsciously kind of transmuted it, because when I asked her about it, she was like, yeah, it gives me fuel. It gives me fuel, and it motivates me to work harder when I'm mad at him, you know?
Fair, yeah. I mean, similar sense. Yeah, fuel for the fire. That's funny, but not necessarily. I mean, if it's working for her and she's comfortable in that energy, then
it was freaky to see. But she was literally like Pixie. She was on those days. She was like furious. You know, she was having like an outburst, but it was transmuted into something else. It was interesting to watch that.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, well, the same thing, you know, transmutation of energy and emotion. So just a slightly different example. I guess in a sense that is going from a negative to positive because you're working hard. Not that work is a bad thing, and money is a positive result. So
yeah, it made her attract money. I mean, crazy, but that's what she did to that energy. She was mad, and then it's like, okay, this is now fuel for me to make money.
Yeah.
More lucky and to work harder and to attract positive things to me. Super crazy, but
yeah,
interesting.
And some people, like you said, may do that sort of stuff or something similar and not even call it energy transmuting. They're just like, this is what I do, and it works.
I know. It's just, and she didn't know she was doing it either. She was saying, yeah, it motivates me, but it was, and it's like the angrier she was, the more money she would make. So definitely she transmuted it without knowing. Of course, me as a spiritual person that kind of understands energy a little bit, noticed what was going on.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, transmutation is the main sort of tool, I guess, and working any of this. So, but then I guess that brings us around to our third point, and how to manifest when you can't stay positive.
That's exactly the key. That's really the key, is that you have to use it kind of as fuel and then reprogram that energy, take it back. And he writes here, transmutation, therefore, is the act of changing a foreign intent through the power of your personal intent. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here, this transmutation then is the result of a change in belief and attitude. When you begin to ingest this dark negative energy, you might feel that you are going completely against what you have been taught. And for many of you, that this will be true. And okay, this is not, trying to skip. This may be the case if you maintained old beliefs, blah, blah, blah. But through the use of the predatory mindset, remember, he's a vampire, whatever. To the predatory mindset, because he keeps saying, when you now think why predator, it's because in the book he writes predator or prey, and he, you know, when you see this negative energy that others are expelling, like you see it as food, which I wouldn't see it that way, but that's why he writes through the use of the predatory mindset. You are potentially transmuting that negative pool into a powerful, life-giving energy. You attack this negative energy, bite down on it, and eat it, consume it, and bring it into yourself as a powerful predatory monster. You're also transmuted through the sheer ferocity of your spirit, a ferocious spirit that has the power to change your beliefs about what this energy can be. And through this change in belief and attitude, the transmutation of energy occurs.
So yeah, so take the biting and the fangs and the predator with a grain of salt, but his point is still true. You know, and it's the predatory stance that we're changing ourselves into, as opposed to being a prey of and victim of the negative energy.
Exactly. This is how you, being an alchemist, this is how you manipulate energy and you influence outcomes and that stuff. So yeah, how to manifest when you're surrounded by negativity. Well, by transmuting the energy, and that's the thing, for it to manifest anything, and it doesn't matter what kind of method you use. I mean, you need energy, and this is something that a lot of people will explain you all these techniques from, I don't know, ancient magical traditions to law of attraction stuff, and they're leaving out that you need energy for this.
Yeah.
Like the bigger the goal, the more energy you need. The more, like the further you're away, the more energy you need. You have to understand this first. So when things don't come through yet, it's usually because not enough energy was pushed towards that intent, that outcome. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. network that we put into it or whatever, and or thoughts or emotions or intentions is what makes that energy grow, gets bigger. So
Exactly. And this method, and this is why this, yes, it's not my style how he writes about vampires. You could leave that out completely for myself. And sometimes he writes this predator stuff. But again, take it with a grain of salt. It's not important, but it's just, hey, how do you build up more energy, or how do you, use energy that's already expelled and going to waste, how to use it for your benefit. This is really what the book is about.
Yeah. And then I think, like how to do this if you really just can't stay positive. I think, give yourself, and this goes, I'm thinking of a couple other sort of manifestation books too that say similar things where, do it for like 7 days at a time, 7 days in a row, or 30 days in a row, like practice daily this, becoming this predator of the energy and transmuting this negative energy into a positive. And maybe immediately you're just back into the negative energy, but keep doing it, keep trying it, and then try it, give yourself a 30-day goal, and if there's no change after 30 days, then I don't know, maybe, but hopefully there is, and it doesn't have to be 30 days, maybe it'd take 2 days to notice a difference, but just because something doesn't happen once, and not to say that doing this method one time is going to fight off all the negative energy for the rest of your life. No, not at all. It's going to come back tomorrow. It's going to come back the same day, but maybe it won't affect us as badly. Maybe we don't feel the need to transmute it, but this is mainly for the outside energy that's eating up the most of our own, or that's, stealing from us the most,
Yes.
We'll just block that out, because we're used to it or whatever. And it's like, okay, I know that's there, but it's not bothering me. But this is for the things that are, and as life goes on, more and more energy is going to be, we're going to come into more and more energy of like with our own. So good and bad. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really the thing. Yes, it's two different things. That number one, it's your own personal negative energy versus your environment. Those are two different things, but in both situations, he teaches you how to use it for your benefit. But also, with the personal energy, it's, now that I think about it, that's kind of depends on your personality, because maybe you are more of a negative person, maybe you're more of a positive person, and I think this has a lot to do with that. But if you're actually a negative person, or you're trying to get out of this negative thought cycle, then this will be really helpful, But I feel like if someone was to practice this every day, they already would have the discipline to have awareness also, of negative thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Pixie, but back in the day, I used to be pretty negative. And now I'm super positive, but that was work. So I don't often get into, like, when I get into a negative thought cycle, then like I really notice it. You know what I mean? But for
notice
some
your triggers, kind of, yeah.
Yes, and I stop. I stop and I don't let my thoughts go a certain way. I have the awareness, but maybe people who start with this don't have that yet. I mean, I don't know how it is for you.
It's pretty similar. I mean, I feel like in general, at my core, I'm more of a positive person, but I know that like last couple years, especially, I almost didn't realize the negative thought paradigm that I had re-entered into, and it kind of brought about this stuckness, and it wasn't until last year and then this year included that, I don't know, like friends and spiritual teachers kept coming to me, and I just realized that, why was I so mad all the time? Like, why was I so pissed off going to work? Why was I mad in traffic? All these things. Why was I mad because life isn't the way I want it to be, or whatever. And And it was just sitting in this disgusting, like, negative, and I know that's not me, but it's these circumstances on the outside, my reaction to them, which is the key. It's, the circumstances are there regardless. Like, I have to go to work, I have to sit in traffic sometimes, but how I react to it is what's going to make or break,
Yes.
like, my future, my present, these circumstances, and so now, I actually did, there's another book, which is, I don't want to, anyway, there's another book, I don't want to just like lose focus on this one, but that, they'd practiced, there's a 30-day practice of like writing a gratitude list every day, just 3 things, like 3 things in the morning and 3 things at night that you're grateful for every day. Mm-hmm. And after 30 days, these adversarial thoughts sort of just fade. They're not as loud. And so I did that for 30 days. And honestly, I've continued to do it for months after, just because it's a good practice. And it's kind of just shifted me back into, a more positive state. And if there is a negative emotion, or negative thoughts, I'm quicker to, like you said, become aware of it and get rid of it. I'm not sitting in it constantly anymore. Sometimes I may sit longer than others, but it's not a constant state of being. Thank God. It's, and that is huge. It made such a difference for me, like how I was feeling on the inside, and also provides me more clarity to see, okay, I'm not as stuck as I felt, or I'm not as stuck as I was. Like, these are the things, and what can I do differently within me to begin not changing those outside circumstances, but to begin changing the energy around them and my energy in and around it. So I can relate. In similar story.
Yeah, but what you just talked about, it's really deep, because I think a lot of majority of people that get into any type of spirituality or manifestation or spiritual practice, they come there because they want to change their lives. I mean, especially if it's not something you grew up with. If you get into this, you usually, like, something happened, or you notice your life sucks and you think, hey, how can I change it? So this is where that comes in. So I'm happy you talked about how you got out of this, because I feel like it's very relevant for people that just get into these things.
Yeah, and the majority of
like
people,
a mess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm a very, we'll wrap up here soon, but I'm very, very sensitive to energy, to the point where, like, I can sit in traffic and I can feel other people's anger in the car, and then I get mad, or whatever, or not, because I transmute it, or even at work, like, I can sense other people's emotional energy, and where was I going with that? And just the fact that it is hard sometimes to maintain my own positivity within that, but it's not, it's not impossible. And just that so many of the majority of people, at work and in traffic and at the grocery store, like, I don't know where all these spiritual people are that are, like, similar and like-minded to us are. I don't know where they are in the wild, like where they are in real life. I feel like they're all just, I find them online, because the people that I encounter on my day-to-day basis aren't always actively, like, trying to do energy transmutation. It's like they just are stuck and they stay stuck. And even though I try to grow and evolve, and I don't try to force my beliefs on anybody, but if I'm at work another day and the same people are being negative about the same things, 150th day in a row or more, it's just like, I try to say, try to provide a solution, maybe a slight suggestion, and it's just nothing. And, like, I'm not doing it to make me feel any better. I'm ultimately doing it to just maybe be that voice of awareness in them that could be like, you can change too, you don't have to stay stuck like this. But ultimately, no, they're going to realize it on their own if and when that time comes. So, but just so many people are just shrouded in this cloud. Yeah. And this cloud of negativity. And, our friend Chris that we mentioned, he has, like, a funny way of saying it, where, especially with the things going on in the world, it's almost like you walk outside and there's like a like an intercom or something that's just like a signal projecting like fear, 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 fear,
Mm.
you know, just all around like telephone poles, just imagining like fear just expanding everywhere, you know. And of course there's things to be afraid of, you know, the world's not in the best shape, but it's like living in fear is so easy, especially with the media and with you know, just I don't know. It's just living in fear is so easy, you know. It's almost like that's what's brought to light more, and is easier to find is, you know, these negative things rather than anything good for the spirit and soul and positive. You have to look a little harder to find those things, and so not everyone does. And anyways, I'm gonna rant a little. I don't want to rant too long about that, but this is a solution. You know, this book provides a way to get out of that negative energy, and even if it's only temporary, you know, it's the psychic self-defense, you know, overcome all negative energy. So even if it comes back, you have the tools in order to deal with it again successfully. So
yeah, and since we're talking about, you know, negativity, you know, now there's something I want to read from the book. A very common scenario is to find yourself in a place or situation where there are many people that do not like you and perhaps have ill will towards you. The average person would say that this hardly ever happens to them because they are not bad people and they try to treat others fairly, perhaps even imply that they try to give off good energies so that others might feel comfortable in their presence. The unfortunate truth, though, is that people are not nearly as nice as we would sometimes like to believe. And then I want to jump forward. Those of good intent must realize, though, that while they might not wish others harm directly, there are those that do project negative energy directly upon others with the intent to do them harm. Evil eye. There's the evil eye where it's you know, I mean, if you wish something bad on someone else, even if it's not something extreme, you know, you don't want them to get that promotion or whatever. That is already projecting ill will, and it might not seem as hardcore, but still, and that energy has an effect on the other person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a solution to that too, and it happens a lot. Sometimes it's evil eye, but sometimes it's people doing it subconsciously. They may not even know that they're projecting negative energy towards you. So
yeah,
I mean,
there
I
was
can
one
just say like story of my life, you know. So
totally mine too. Like there was one, I don't know if I can find it,
Jesus.
but wherever his traffic scenario is in this book, I really related because I'm trying to find it because, you know, just I hate being in traffic too. And there was one sentence he said, I don't know if I'll be able to find it in time, but it was like, you know, when somebody cuts you off in traffic, you know, how often are you thinking about like plotting their death, like subconsciously, you know, it's like, you know, and like, that's such a powerful thought. I mean, we're all human. Realistically, I don't want the person in the car next to me to die, but if some asshole cuts me off in traffic, you know, like gonna get mad, you know, and I have had thoughts before where it's like not a good one in traffic, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. And it's like that's such a powerful thing, and realistically that's not true. I don't want that. I don't want anybody to get in a car accident. I don't want anybody to you know, be in some poor situation or bad situation that's bringing them all this negativity. But that's also an example of that negative energy having an effect on me, you know, because
exactly.
his actions, now I'm mad and I'm going to result negatively rather than, you know, just let him cut me off and not get mad about it, because why should I be mad about that? Like people are going to continue to cut me off in the future or whatever the case may be, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, it's a practice, and I might keep practicing this too, you know, in the future, just to, now that we're talking about it and I've had more awareness about it recently.
I'm gonna start again today because right now I deal with quite a bit of negativity in my environment, and you know, that's the thing. If you, because you mentioned before, you're obviously you're an empath. If you can feel other people's energy, I'm that same way too. And it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because it can really tear you down.
Yeah.
Feel really bad because you start feeling what others feel. And then it's like, stop. Like, this is not even mine.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Exactly. And, even there's some people, before I knew I was an empath, I didn't know how much of the negativity that I was feeling wasn't my own, so that there's a lot of people still too that may not even realize that. It's like, what's the source of this energy? Like, it doesn't really truly matter what the source is, as long as you are aware of that it's not your own.
Yeah.
And even if it is, doing something about it. So
Yeah, I mean, I can just say that in the past that I've been friends with people that their own negativity was attaching to me and bringing me bad luck. And then as soon as I cut this person out of my life, it's like, I'm having all this luck. And I'm like, wait a minute, like,
yeah,
it's very obvious. I've had this happen several times before where something of that person was so negative. And I don't know if maybe the negativity was actually against me, or it's just their own cloud of negativity that kind of attaches to you. It's like, but honestly, this is how I see the world these days. I always think of it almost like contamination. That's why I avoid certain people, or I don't mention certain things to certain people, because I like that outburst of energy I know will attach to me and affect me, But again, going back to the book.
Yeah.
It's like the book is pretty much when you can't avoid it. Like, I would still recommend to everyone to avoid it when you can.
Yeah.
Some people will literally bring you bad luck.
Yeah. Or if there's going to be a situation with negative energy, like, do you have to go? Don't always put yourself in that situation. Protect your energy before, by putting yourself, or by not putting yourself where that negativity is going to be, protecting before you really need to protect.
Right. And some examples that I have is that one friend that is always broke, or you want to improve your finances, but you have a friend that is always broke and crying and venting about it and negative about anything related to money. Hey, stay away.
Yeah, right.
If you want to improve your finances, it's like, no, that's suicide to hang out with that person. Or meeting someone new and you think, hey, this could be my life partner maybe, but you have one friend that is really negative about relationships because they just went through a horrible breakup. Stay away from them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Avoid it when you can.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard to be honest with yourself, because sometimes it's people that you're close to, but
still,
at least learn, if you're going to be around them, at least learn to not talk about that topic.
Yeah. Boundaries. Yeah. Those are all important things too. So just to being aware of the energy that other people, can get from us, and what we give to them. I'm already having to go over to a situation later this evening where it's not like the most positive of energy, and I'm like not really looking forward to it, but I'm used to it. I mean, it's not anything new, but I just have to make sure that my own energy is protected, and maybe if there's enough negative energy when I go, I'll use this method in the book.
Yeah.
So,
try it.
Yeah, so it happens, but this is how we work to get through it. So
yeah, I think we covered everything. I mean, again,
yeah,
with the method in detail, I mean, where he explains the reverse breathing, like we said, it's more of a sucking up of like versus like letting out the energy when you breathe. It's like you're supposed to push and like hold your stomach and then push like in here, and that is explained in detail, and that's kind of how you suck in energy, and then affirm it, do the visualization, and if you know more in detail about it, then you should get the book.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just also food for thought. If this is a new, I can imagine that this is a new concept that many people never even thought about it, so
yeah. Hopefully this is the first introduction, and if it is, then that's good too. So
yeah.
Cool. All right, well, I guess then we will go ahead and end here today.
Yes.
All right, and thank you guys for watching and taking the time to listen to our podcast, and hope you learned something from it, and hope this method works for you. If you choose to use it, or if you already have, then let us know if it's been successful or
Yes.
what.
Yeah, let us know. And also, you know, if there's other podcast topic that you want us to talk about, or maybe other books, go ahead and write it in the comments, and we see you at the next one.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.